Welcome to site plan review. We have two processes going on here today. One is a formal that requires public hearing, and another is one of the cases does not require public hearing. So those of you who have our agenda, we're going to take site plan review 23-79 out of order, and we will be starting with that one. That one does not require public hearing. My name is Brian Florence, and I'll be the chair for this meeting. This meeting is recorded. So this meeting is recorded and broadcast on the Town of Barnstable Government Access Channel in accordance with Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 30A, Section 20. I must inquire if anyone else is recording this meeting, and if so, to make their presence known. All right, seeing none. All right, so this meeting is being conducted in accordance with the Town of Barnstable zoning ordinance 240-24.1.2B4, which requires that the development and modification that meets or exceeds the thresholds established in subsection B4 A below in the downtown Hyannis zoning district shall be reviewed by the building commissioner or his designee at a public meeting, which the public shall be allowed to comment. So the purpose of site plan review is to ensure that the site plan for a proposed development is in compliance with local, state, and federal regulations before the project is submitted for permitting. To that end, this meeting brings all of the town's regulatory agencies together in one place so that you don't have to go from department to department in order to try to understand what's required in order to obtain permits. While we may, as a courtesy, provide insight into what other regulations that may apply to your project, such as building codes and plumbing codes, this process should not be construed to be an approval of activities regulated elsewhere. The way the process works, we'll read your case into the record. You, as the applicant, will have an opportunity to give a brief presentation. From there, I'll ask for staff comment and questions. Once staff has completed their portion of the meeting, I'll open the floor to the public for public comment. Again, not this first case, but the following two. So just raise your hand or indicate through Zoom that you wish to be heard when those public hearings are taking place. It would be helpful if you could mute your microphone until the chair calls on you to speak, and we ask that you state your name before speaking. If you need to share plans, we've made arrangements for you to do so. If you don't know how to do that, just let us know, and one of us will be happy to assist you. If you are going to share a screen, just let us know in advance so you don't disrupt the meeting. With that said, I think, Maggie, you can read our first case into the record.
Okay, our first case again is an agenda item without public comment, is for site plan review 23-79 for Sawyer Realty Holdings Incorporated, represented by attorney David Lawler. Address is 473 Main Street in Hyannis, map parcel 308084. The zoning is split in the DMS and the DN, so we're concentrated in the downtown neighborhood today, as well as the AP, overlay, and Hyannis Historic. The applicant is proposing the conversion of 20 hotel rooms to studio apartments in the downtown neighborhood zoning district, DN. Use variances may be required.
All right, and who'd like to start today? Attorney Lawler?
Sorry, I was muted. I apologize.
No problem.
Been doing this for 2 years and still mess it up. Good morning, everyone, and thank you for your time. David Lawler. I have with me Matt Eddy. I know that we had previously gone through this at an informal. With respect to this particular application, I think you're all familiar with the property, the Hyannis Motel, which is a split district. And we're focusing only on the back portion of the particular lot. And we're seeking to convert the existing motel into single-family apartments, basically one bedroom or studios as they lay out. Yeah.
Pardon the interruption. I'm sorry about that. Jim, would you mind bringing up the plans for this?
Yeah, I was going to hope someone would. I'm sorry.
Yeah, we'll take care of it as soon as I get up. All right, go ahead, David. I'm sorry.
The applicant's filing relief with the zoning board, and that's why we're here today, seeking to convert this is a non-conforming use right now into multi-family dwellings, which I know that this board's not interested in well, they are, but they're not. It's not before them, but it's under 15B1, B5, and under 2417D1C, both for non-conforming use and multifamily dwelling. So if you look at the building, it's building E there on the plan. We're not really looking to do anything to the structure other than cosmetic painting, other, no external changes to the structure. There will be internal changes to the individual units, but minimal compared to, for what we're trying to accomplish. They seem to lay out pretty well. The only aspect that we do intend to change is that we will have the property serviced by a fire suppression system, which will require a line to be brought into the property, and we'll have to work with Hans and his group and fire in order to figure out the best possible place for that. That's not shown on the plan. Other than that, Matt, I don't believe there's anything else. We'd be using the existing parking spaces that are there, that are more than ample, well over the required amount. With respect to any other changes in this portion of the project, I believe you're very well aware. I made it clear in my application and my prior presentation that it is the intent of the applicant within the next 6-8 months to go in and file a request to modify the front portion of the property, and in doing so to convert a portion of that motel also into apartments, building a new building that would abut Main Street. But this application stands alone. There really, are virtually no changes to the site plan other than the water line and maybe a parking space or two. But anything else, Matt?
No, I think you hit the highlights. We do just for reference that we do show a proposed fire service connection line on the lower southern corner of the building, just from but again, that'll be the exact location will be coordinated with the water department, fire department, and in conjunction with the architectural plans of building permit. But yeah, other than that, I think you hit it all, Dave.
All right, thank you very much for your presentation. We'll bring it back to staff now for questions and comments. Starting with Maggie, have we received any correspondence on this matter?
I have comments from the building department, which remain the same as earlier. First one being that construction control documents will be required with the building permit. 2015 IEBC analysis is required as well, and any signage will require permitting through the building division.
Great, thank you. And brings up a good point. So while we've heard this before and we've all been through this matter with Attorney Lawler and his team, this is recorded for the public. So if you have comment, please make sure we state it right up front. Next up would be Jim, please.
Good morning, Jim Kupfer, Senior Planner, Planning and Development. As the applicant had indicated, a variance is required pursuant to 240-24-15B1BV, non-conforming use standards in all districts. In addition, a variance is required pursuant to 240-24-18D1C, multi-unit dwelling downtown neighborhood zoning districts for more than the maximum allowed. I understand no changes to the exterior, but if there are any improvements to the exterior, this is in the Hyannis Main Street Waterfront Historic District, so a certificate of appropriateness would be required. And in addition, in accordance with the town's inclusionary affordable housing requirements defined in Chapter 9, at least 10% of the residential units shall be deed restricted affordable housing at 65% of the area median income. Thank you.
Jim, I think that is it 2417D?
No, if I can remind you that remember we had to update that
No, I
because
know. I
of,
thought it went from 8 to 7, not 7 to 8.
well, we could take a look at it. Either way,
Okay. Either way, I'll look at it. Yeah.
the sections still apply, and those variances would be
Okay.
required.
I'll double check that. I could be mistaken, and I apologize if I am.
No problem. Thank you.
I think the important part is where you're headed from here.
Exactly.
Next up I have is Hyannis Fire, please.
Good morning, Tim Landman, Hyannis Fire Prevention. With the existing code review that's going to be done for this, we'd like to see fire protection included on that as well, please. The fire protection requirements for the building, obviously the fire sprinklers are going to have to go in, and most likely we would look to see a new fire alarm system for that specific building, and also look to work with folks on as far as how the numbering is going to work out, especially where there's going to be phases to this project, as well as key box installation. Most of the rest of this we can take care of through the permitting process. Those are the highlights of what we're going to be looking for from Hyannis Fire. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lieutenant. And we are short on staff here, so I'm gonna, next up is Aaron, please.
Thank you, Brian. Aaron Logan, Licensing Division. There are no licensing requirements as for this particular portion of the project.
Thank you, and Grace.
Thank you, Grace Rogers, Asset Management. No comments, thank you.
Very good, thanks. As you heard earlier, we're having a little trouble getting engineering in here, so.
Hi there, I'm actually, excuse me, hi there, Brian, I'm actually in right now.
Where are you? Okay,
I must be hidden on your screen.
I see you now. All right, very good. Engineering, please.
Matt Roble, DPW Engineering. So for this phase of the project, the only update that I'd seen between informal and formal, and I believe this was an item that Chief Lehman had requested, was the fire suppression line. Just advising the applicant that they'll need to open a road opening permit as part of that line installation. And we're happy to review any further plans when phase 2 of the project's ready to go. That's my only comment at this time.
Very good, thank you. Staff, do you see any reason why this cannot proceed to permitting? Seeing none, I would find the matter approvable and able to go forward to permitting the zoning planning board. Thank you very much, Attorney Lawler.
Thank you, everybody, for your time. Thank you very much.
Take care.
Thank you.
All right, Maggie, if you'd like to read our next case into the record, please. You can start at the top of the agenda if you like.
Okay, our next agenda item with public comment will be for site plan review 23-54 for Grander Capital Partners LLC, represented by Attorney Eliza Cox. The address is 201 Main Street in Hyannis, map parcel 327-150. This is in the downtown Main Street zone, as well as the AP overlay and the Hyannis Historic District. Grander Capital Partners LLC proposes to demolish an existing 38-room motel building at 201 Main Street and redevelop the property to include a new 95-unit, 4-story multifamily building with 1,200 square feet of street access retail space. The project is in the downtown Main Street DMS zoning district. The project will provide 98 parking spaces at 201 Main Street and an additional 34 spaces at 205 Main Street for a total of 132. The existing curb cut on Main Street will be eliminated and access will be from a modified existing curb cut on School Street. Dimensional and parking requirements for the DMS have been met, including required landscape buffers.
All right. Good morning, Attorney Cox.
Good morning, Brian, and good morning, members of the Site Plan Review Committee. For the record, my name is Eliza Cox. I'm an attorney at Nutter, McLennan and Fish, and I'm here on behalf of the applicant, GCP Maine LLC, which is also the owner of this property. My clients purchased the property back in February of 2022, so a little over a year and a half ago. And prior to and since acquiring the property, have had many communications with many departments across the town as they embarked on redevelopment plans for the site. I know this committee is very familiar with this project and proposal because we've had several informal site plan review meetings. But for the benefit of the television and any members of the public who may be here, what I thought I would do is have our consultant team walk through the project briefly to provide an overview, and then obviously we're happy to answer any questions that may arise. Before I turn it over to Cindy Lee, who's the architect for the project, who will need to share her screen if that's okay. I just wanted to take a moment to add a few comments. So this is, we think, a really exciting project. It is revitalizing and redeveloping a underutilized and deteriorating property that really is a gateway into downtown Hyannis. And in fact, the sign for Welcome to Downtown Hyannis is on this property. And we're redeveloping it in accordance with the new form-based code that was recently adopted by the town through the town council for this area of downtown Hyannis. No zoning relief is anticipated or required for this project. We have this process to go through. The property is within the Hyannis Main Street Waterfront Historic District. And just by way of update for the Site Plan Review Committee members, because this has transpired, I think, since we were last before the committee for informal review, we had our first hearing with the Historic District Commission on September 6th, where the commission approved the certificate of demolition to allow the buildings to come down. All of them had very positive comments on the certificate of appropriateness, but we ended up continuing that hearing to allow for a little more architectural detail to be incorporated into the plan based on the comments that we received. And so we'll be back before that commission on October 4th for a continued hearing on the certificate of appropriateness.
Great.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say for the public, we're going to ask any public members here to hold comment till the very end. Right, sorry, Eliza.
Yep. All good. So joining me on behalf of my clients are Ted Norberg and Owen McAubry. They're both from GCP Maine LLC. And then I think what I'll do now is turn it over to Cindy Lee, the project architect, who will share her screen and just provide an overview of the project.
Great, thank you.
Thanks.
Good morning. I'll share my screen now. Okay. Good morning, Commissioner and member of the Site Plan Review Board. My name is Cindy Lee with Embark, architect with Embark. I am the architect of record for 201 Main Street. Here we have the design team, the civil engineer, Derek Redgate, and landscape architect Anton is also on this call, and they will be following my presentation with their portion of the work. As Eliza had noted, we've been working with the town's department on going through the project and really trying to work through any comments, the fire department, the DPW, and getting the appropriate amount of landscaping on the site for screening. And all the comments have been addressed. We are proposing the demolition of the motel buildings at 201 Main Street and replacing it with brand new 95 unit apartment. We have met the parking requirement for this new multifamily, and we will be refurbishing the existing parking lot at the corner of Main Street and School Street. This site in particular, being so close to the transportation center, the Cape Cod Hospital, and the Steamship Authority, is really a great location for multifamily. Here is another view to orientate everyone on the location of the site. It is an L-shaped site, and we are eliminating all of the curb cuts that are currently on Main Street and consolidating them on School Street for both pieces. The square piece of the corner will be refurbished with new landscaping for parking. And then the long shape at the bottom of the plan here will be the new multifamily building. Some site photos, the lower right hand photo shows the property straight on from across the street, and really just views up and down Main Street. In addition to understanding the site, we broadened our search and looked around the neighborhood at buildings that are in the same scale and context to our proposed building. And we worked through the form-based design that's required under the downtown Main Street building standard. That includes roof forms, gables and dormers, as well as how the building meets the ground. So here's our proposed plan. As you can see, the site entrance is off of School Street now. We are locating the multifamily, this new building, as far away to the west, which is to the bottom of the page, from the houses that are along School Street. And we're also utilizing the front of the building to block the view of the parking that's behind it. The parking also flow underneath the building in the rear, and I'll show you the plans next. There are 4 stories. On the ground floor on Main Street will be the retail space at the corner and space for resident lobby and amenity. And then we have 2nd and 3rd floor of apartments. The 4th floor has another bit of amenity to the south, what we call the clubhouse and the terrace. They're facing south. There are 95 units with different types, ranging from 1 bed to 3 bedrooms. So we began our design by understanding that the Main Street portion of this project needs to be pedestrian friendly and needs to have more glazing and more commercial in nature. And then the back part of the building, the south wing, really needs to be more residential in scale. And, you know, we're using a range of palettes in terms of the siding to give it the change in scale in the back. Here is a view of the proposed building from Yarmouth Road. As you can see, the building in the rear, the south wing, what we call, is blocked by the portion of the building along Main Street, and then the parking to that you see on the left will be will receive new landscaping. In the center of this view is where we're locating the retail space at grade, and we've carved out some outdoor space, you know, to be associated with this retail, whether it is a cafe or other commercial use. A view looking east on Main Street, and just showing how we're relating to the neighbor building, which is 209 Main Street. And then finally, a view from across the street, you know, trying to illustrate the main intent of hiding the bulk of the building and the parking that's associated behind it. So in terms of material and the building form, as I've said, we are meeting the form-based design guideline. We are also, we have presented to the Historic Commission and presented to them the palette as well as the siding material that is in meeting the context of the historic district. We are bringing back some details in terms of trims and how we would detail the storefront and the roof edges, the fascia, back to them so that they're happy that this complies fully. In terms of the rear of the building, this is where we're placing the clubhouse on the fourth floor that face the south. You might even have views of the harbor. But in the rear of the building, we are using a slightly darker palette and more siding material choice to break up the elevation. Sectionally, on the left is a section through the building, through the portion of the building along Main Street, and really utilizing the gable form to reduce the bulk of it. And in the rear, the gable roof allow us to create a hidden spot up on the roof to hide mechanical equipment. And then finally, 95 units is a lot of units, but we will be designing a variety of types within the different sizes to make sure that it meets market demand, and not every unit will be stamped across the whole plan. Some typical unit plans for larger units. That concludes my part of the presentation.
Thank you. And for the rest of the team, if there'll be any other presentations, I'd like to focus on the site. I appreciate all the effort that's gone into the building. And Cindy Lee did a great job describing from here forward. Let's focus on the site itself, okay? All right, thank you. Who's next in your team?
Yep, so I'll go next. Eric Redgate. I'm a civil engineer with Coastal Engineering Company. And as you know, we've been working on this project through a few informal meetings and working through comments and coordination for the last few months with mainly DPW, who have asked for some additional information and modifications to our site plan. So I think we're up to date with comments from DPW. I think Matt Roble and my group have worked through some of these things to we're at a sort of a point where we're close to finalizing. Just another couple of items that we have added to our application since the original application. So these are things that aren't necessarily required, but were requested by this group and DPW. We've hired and submitted a traffic memo, which was produced by Vanas Associates, that addressed the existing conditions and the post conditions of traffic generated by this project. So that's been submitted and uploaded. And also there were some questions regarding construction management. Construction management, is the time period between beginning the project and actually constructing it, and some of the impacts on the community and roadway networks, working hours, things like that, in the, what we think is going to be an 18 to 24 month construction period. So that's been submitted as supplemental information as well. Happy to answer any questions related to those two items. And then we did work through our drainage and utility design with DPW, and have submitted some of the environmental calculations, drainage reports, water quality, operations and maintenance plans going forward when the project's complete, and some of the calculations for water quality that were requested of us. And so, I think we're at a point where we've pretty much addressed the town's comments on the site plan approval package.
Great, thank you. Liza, anybody else from your team?
No, I think we're good, Brian. Happy to answer any questions.
Very good, thank you. Okay, we'll bring it back to staff for comment, and then we'll have public comment after that. Just so if there's any public here that wishes to speak on this, I'm going to be limiting public comment to 2 minutes per person, and we ask that you bring new issues to the table and not, I just want everybody to get up and say the same thing. So that said, Maggie, have you received any correspondence on this matter?
I have correspondence from the building department regarding their comments for today. Again, a demo permit will be required for each structure inclusive of utility shutoffs. This project will require construction controls IAW.780 CMR. Sign permits will be required for any new or existing signs, and the applicant has been advised of the possibility of a third-party review of permitting, which will also have a potential fee associated with such.
Great, thank you. And I have comments from the Health Division. Inspector Stan said you will need to register any rental units with the Health Division. And then if a food establishment is proposed in the future, it'll need a food establishment permit, and the health inspector covering this area is Mary Beth McKenzie. So we'll go ahead and begin with planning and development, please.
Good morning, Jim Kupfer, Senior Planner, Planning and Development. As the applicant knows, this property is in the Hyannis Main Street Waterfront Historic District. They have applied for a certificate of appropriateness, and as was mentioned earlier, they did receive approval for demolition. And so they'll need to continue on to receive the certificate of appropriateness. In accordance with the town's inclusionary affordable housing requirements as defined under Chapter 9, at least 10% of the residential units shall be deed restricted, housing units at 65% of the area median income. And also because this does require the formal site plan review under the downtown Hyannis zoning, a formal landscape plan signed and stamped by registered landscape architect, along with a security of 150% of the estimated cost of plant installation for the duration of 3 years after planting has after it's been installed must be provided to prior to issuance of certificate of occupancy in a form acceptable to the town's attorney's office. Thank you.
Thank you, Jim. You made my job a lot easier today. Appreciate that. All right, next up is Matt, DPW.
Matt Roble, DPW Engineering. So as Derek had mentioned a second ago, I've worked extensively offline with his portion of the team, getting all of our comments addressed. Really the only ones that are still applicable in relation to the construction management plans. Derek, as we had talked offline, we'd be interested as you guys roll into formal permitting, seeing updated construction management plans once Delbrooks had a chance to better identify everything that's going to be going into construction. So Brian, what I had tried to convey to Derek was that we would like to review those plans before the building permit's issued, if at all possible, as a condition of approval for that. That aside, the only other thing that I'm looking for is just to notify the applicant that sewer and road opening permits will be required as part of the application. And we're happy to review any updated plans, should there be any at that time.
Great, thank you. Next is Hyannis Fire, please.
Good morning, Tim Lehman, Hyannis Fire. As we've discussed previously in the more informal meetings, most of the fire protection requirements can be addressed during permitting with the specific contractors for those systems. Hyannis Fire will be looking for an NFPA 241 plan for both the demolition and the construction of the new structures. And if there is going to be construction fencing in place, have the superintendent reach out to us as far as providing Hyannis Fire Department key padlock for access after hours. We're also going to be looking for third-party BDA testing as the progress goes with the new construction, and dumpster permits will most likely be required depending on the length of time they're going to be spending on site. Information can be gotten directly from us on that. Other than that, that's it from Hyannis Fire right now. Most things will be addressed later on. One quick question: has there been any changes to the proposed electric charging for vehicles that was in the plan, Cindy?
No change. We will be complying with the state code to provide the appropriate amount of infrastructure for EV charging.
Okay, and right now it's just infrastructure only, and with charging stations being added at a later date, or?
we will comply with the state requirements.
Okay, all right, thank you. Other than that, that's it for Hyannis Fire. Thanks.
Cap, would you just, for the public's benefit, explain or just briefly say what a 241 plan is?
Okay, recent additions to Massachusetts Fire Code have included the requirements of National Fire Protection's standard number 241, which refers to safeguarding construction, alteration, and demolition operations. So certain fire protection aspects will have to be in place during demolition once the fire alarm system for the existing structure is disabled, as well as a plan in place as construction goes along with the new buildings.
Great, thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
All right, licensing, please.
Thank you, Brian. Aaron Logan, Licensing Division. Attorney Cox, I believe you had said the address for the private parking lot is changing. Is that correct? Did I hear 205 Main Street thrown in there? Or was that my misinterpretation?
I know it's one lot for the assessor's purposes.
Okay.
I didn't say 205.
Okay. I'm hearing things. No, not a problem at all. We would just request a revised plan for that private parking lot. I mean, obviously some of the configuration may change, and if there are any future retail tenants that might require licensing, it would be up to them to come to the authority for approval. And I think that's it.
Thank you. Asset management.
Thank you, Brian. Grace Rogers, Asset Management. No new comments. Thank you.
Did they resolve the issue you had with the sidewalk?
That I was working in conjunction with DPW to ensure that the specifications met ADA compliance.
Okay, very good. Did I miss any staff members? Okay, seeing none, I will open the floor to the public for comment. Would anybody like to speak on this matter? Oh, Jane Walsh.
Hi, good morning. My neighbor has been trying to get into this meeting. I want to first of all address that. John Kilroy, who is a neighbor on School Street. I live at 72 School Street. I did not receive a letter about this. He actually told me about it. So, you know, I'm all for housing, but I do have some concerns. I'm not crazy about the height of the building in relation to the rest of the neighborhood. But my biggest concern is the curb cut. I live on School Street. I work on Main Street. I make a left-hand turn onto Main Street several times a day. It is very difficult to do that. The only relief we get is when somebody is traveling east on Main Street and stopping to make a left-hand turn onto Yarmouth Road. And even half the time that doesn't work. They'll block traffic half the time. The other half the time people drive over the sidewalk to get around those people. So making a left-hand turn off of School Street is extremely difficult. I also don't think it's aside from that, I'm not happy about the curb cut being on School Street. It's pretty residential here right now. It's very historic here. Most of the buildings on the street have been here since the 1800s. I just don't like to see extra traffic on the street. We already have a curb cut from Lewis Bay condominiums onto School Street. There's a lot of traffic on this road, a lot of speeders. At one point, the town did put up some measuring device about the traffic, and the data was lost on that. So that's that on the traffic. Not crazy about the design of the front of the building.
Please.
Pardon me?
15 seconds, please.
Okay, thank you. I'm hoping the parking lot on School Street is blocked for, you know, visibility reasons. And I'm hoping these homes are year round. I find it interesting that both of these site plan meetings are hotels turning into housing, where we've got all these short-term rentals that are not being capped.
Thank you, Ms. Walsh. Sarah, were you able to see if the gentleman that was trying to get in is in the waiting room somewhere?
No, I haven't seen him. Jane, can you make sure that he has the correct link? The only thing I can I think is he has the wrong link for the meeting, but I have not seen anybody trying to get in. So.
I'll do that.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Walsh. All right, anybody else here like to speak on this matter? You know what we'll do?
Pam Porter has her hand raised.
Oh, Pam, I'm sorry. Thank you.
That's okay. I just have a quick question.
Good minute.
My husband and I live on School Street. We rent, but we have been here for a few years. So good meeting. Thank you. Very thorough. Yeah, so it's already been mentioned and covered that there'll be an 18 to 24-month construction period. I just don't know if I actually missed if there is a start date for the construction. Do we have that yet? Do you have that yet?
Not at this time.
Okay, all right. I understand. I understand, but not even a potential idea of.
Yeah, this is not question and answers. It's just if you have comment, we're happy to get them on the record for you. We don't have a start date though at this time.
Very good. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Anybody else like to comment on this matter? All right, why don't we do this? I'm gonna take a 2-minute recess and let the gentleman try to get in. I don't want him to lose out on an opportunity to provide a comment. So we'll give a 2-minute recess, Sarah, if that's okay, and we'll be back here at 9:51.
Brian, I believe Mr. Kilroy is logging in right now.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, that concludes our brief recess. Um, we are talking about site plan review 2354, which is a 201 Main Street in Hyannis. The applicants have given a presentation. We've opened it up for the public to speak. We understood there was a gentleman from the public who would like to speak, so we went into recess so that individual could have time to log in. It looks like you're here, sir, and I'm just going to ask you to keep your comments to 2 minutes. We have already heard that the one.
It looks like we have lost Brian. He's frozen. Maggie, how would you like to proceed?
Well, Mr. Kilroy needs to provide his comments. I think we could give Brian a minute possibly to try and log back in.
Okay, so why don't we hold for a minute and see if Brian's able to get back on. Thank you for your patience, Mr. Kilroy. Everyone, I'm on the phone with Brian. I'm just helping him get back on. It should just be a couple of seconds.
Terribly sorry about the interruption, folks. I am going to stop my video only because I had to log in with a wired Wi-Fi. So I'll do it without video so I don't have any interruptions. Maggie, where do we leave off?
We're ready for Mr. Kilroy if he's still on. I don't see him in front of me, but to give his public comment.
All right, I see somebody with the name AIRPR with their hand raised.
Mr. Kilroy was actually next, so we'll go with Mr. Kilroy first, and then we'll go to AirPR, okay?
Very good, thank you.
Thank you.
I just want to remind you that to keep your comments fresh, we've already heard that somebody is in opposition to the curb cut on School Street. And if you could keep your comments to 2 minutes, we'd appreciate that. Mr. Kilroy, please. You are muted, sir. Your microphone is muted, sir. You need to unmute your microphone so we can hear you. There you go.
How's that?
Perfect.
Good morning, y'all. Thank you for your forbearance. My question, or it's really a question, is has there been any kind of traffic study about the curb cut into School Street? Or not a curb cut, it's already there, but the notion of exit and inflow of traffic into School Street seems. Well, I'm just wondering, has there been any study, or did this just come out of thin air?
So, Mr. Kilroy, we do have a document that was uploaded to our system by the applicant that discusses traffic, and we'd be happy to provide you with a copy of that.
Okay, that would be great. It seems to me to be preposterous, but maybe they've gotten past that. My friend Eliza Cox, I'm sure, has fixed it all, but. I'll wait to see that. How would I acquire this information?
I'm going to have you reach out to Maggie Flynn. She's our permit coordinator. Maggie, would you give your work telephone number for the gentleman?
You have a pen handy, Mr. Kilroy?
I do.
Okay, it's 508
yeah.
776 7495. If you want to give me a call later today, what I need is your email, and I'll be able to forward that information to you.
Beautiful. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
All right, Mr. Kilroy, you have a nice day. All right, next is
you too.
AIPR. Again, if you could limit your comments to 2 minutes, please.
Thank you, Commissioner Florence, and thank you, board members. I have basically just one comment, and forgive me if it is in the plan. I couldn't pick it up. With the high volume of possible residents at that location, will there be screening or some form of fencing to prevent pedestrian foot traffic from cutting through into, across the residential properties to get to the location? That would be my question to add to the record.
I'm going to defer to Liza. Do you have any information regarding that?
Actually, I might ask Derek to respond to that. Or Cindy.
Yeah, no problem. So there'll be, the zoning regulations does require setbacks from the property lines to be screened with landscaping. So we've complied with that, as well as providing a fence to encapsulate the property itself. So when the plantings are installed, they're new, and they'll provide screening, and over the course of a few years, there'll be some nice screening between the abutting properties and the new development.
Great, thank you. ARPR, can you just, for the record, just say?
Sure, yeah. This is Paul Neary, and I'm actually the immediate abutter to the project.
Great, thank you. Any other comments, Mr. Neary?
I understand about screening, but you mentioned fencing as well. Would there be a fence in addition to the screening, or if it's trees, say, set 6-8 feet apart, that may take many years to fill in order to let's say prohibit foot traffic?
Yes, there is a fence proposed, as well as the landscape screening.
Thank you very much.
I believe the fence is 6 feet in height, but if the landscape architect's on the line and wants to correct me on that.
Nope, you're correct. It's 6 feet, and it'll be a wood fence.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, sir. Any other comments on this project?
I believe Marty was waving his hand. Marty, did you have any comments?
Yeah, can you hear me?
We can.
Yeah, I'm worried about pedestrian traffic in crossing Main Street. You're going to have many more people in this area, and I assume there'll be a lot more pedestrian traffic. It's crazy trying to cross. Well, it's certainly crazy trying to get downtown and cross an Old Colony, but also by Bradford's. That's the only real crosswalk to get to like the transportation center. It's very treacherous crossing right now, and it's just going to get worse. And then, like Jane mentioned about making a left, it's crazy, especially in the summertime, to make a left-hand turn out of there. I'm just wondering what the town's going to do. You're going to put in like raised zebra crossings or something like that to, number one, slow down the traffic, but also to allow, the pedestrians more easy access to cross. There's a lot of disabled people in this neighborhood. There are a lot of people that don't have cars. You have the Champ House where a lot of the people walk. You have a lot of elderly people with walkers even. I right down next door to us. I'm right on School Street. So it's really, I want to see more what the town's going to do with this. The other issue I have is the lack of, further down from this project, there are trees along the sidewalk there. Granted, they're, pulling up part of the sidewalks there, but I would like to see a continuation of trees right to the corner of School Street, even if they're small trees, provide a little shading. It's just seems so bright in that area. There's just there needs to be some more kind of landscaping in there along Main Street there.
Thank you, Marty.
Yep.
Anybody else have comments? All right, seeing none, I will bring it back to staff for the moment. Staff, does anybody see any reason why this matter cannot move forward to permitting? Seeing none, I'd find the matter is approvable and may proceed to permitting. Thank you, Attorney Cox and your team, for your time today.
Thank you very much.
Have a good day. All right, Maggie, if you'd like to read our next case, please.
Our next agenda item with public comment is for site plan review 23-34 for Staples Plaza, represented by, I believe it's Attorney John Kenny. The address is 378 Barnstable Road in Hyannis, map parcel 311026. This is in the highway commercial as well as the WP. Applicant proposes the construction of two 4,533 square foot commercial buildings with the demolition of two smaller existing buildings.
Attorney Kenny? Good morning, Mr. Chairman and members of the Site Plan Review Committee. For the record, my name is John Kenny. I'm an attorney at the law office in Centerville. I come before you this morning representing JPA Management. With me this morning is Jack Gillis, the company representative, Patrick Nickerson, an attorney from my office, Matt Eddy from Baxter Nye, our engineer, Roy Catagnani, the president of Conserve Group, the builder. And as Maggie said, the property is located in the downtown Hyannis zoning districts. We are in the highway commercial district. This is the old gateway district from the prior downtown districts. And this project is a continuation of the revitalization of this section of Hyannis. You've got the new Walgreens, the building with the Starbucks in it right behind us. Across the street, you've got a new CVS and a new bank building. And these lots all abut the Staples Plaza, and as part of this project, it will be incorporated into the plaza through an 81X plan, making it all one big lot. It continues the improvements that JPA Management has made to this site. There's been significant landscape improvements. We were before you back in 2021, and we removed the two buildings at 382 and 384 Barnstable Road. Those buildings consisted of a liquor store and an old travel office. So those buildings are down. And now we're proposing to take down the buildings at 378 and 380 Barnstable Road, which is the Windjammer and the G&N Pizza building. We will rebuild two new buildings, each with 4,533 square feet. One is proposed for retail use, strictly retail use. And the other is proposed to have a restaurant, a pizza restaurant, and the balance would be used for retail. Currently, the Aegean Pizza site has 2,695 square feet and 24 seats, and it would be reduced to 2,406 square feet and 20 seats. So there'd be a reduction in square footage and seats for the restaurant use. Since we are in the highway commercial district in section 240 24.1.5B1A authorizes uses as allowed in table 1, and table 1 in the highway commercial district requires a special permit for both retail sales and food and beverage sales. We plan to proceed to the Zoning Board of Appeals for relief for those two matters. If we can call up the site plan, I will have Matt Eddy walk you through. I know you've all been through this before, but also for the public. And the one quirky issue here is how we will handle the 81X plan. I'm presuming it can be done as a condition of special permits if the special permits are granted, but we can discuss that as Matt walks us through the site plan. Sarah, would you make sure Matt has the ability to share the screen?
Yes, he's all set.
Good morning. All right, thank you. Good morning. I'll share my screen now. Can everyone see my screen here? Plans that I have up?
No, sir. Not yet.
All right. So good morning, everyone. For the record, Matthew Eddy, professional engineer with Baxter Nye Engineering and Surveying. I'll just quickly walk you through the existing site conditions. I know you're all familiar with the site.
Hey, Matt.
The address.
Matt, we can't. You're not sharing your screen.
Must have dropped off.
There you go. It's coming up.
Is it?
Oh,
Okay.
you're good.
Sorry about that.
No problem. Thank you.
All right. The existing conditions for the site. Again, these two buildings remaining, two that were there previously are the addresses of 378, 80, 82, and 384. As John mentioned, these two buildings, this area that we shaded on our plan, these buildings were removed previously. The large curb cut that was onto Barnstable Road was closed previously, and the site was stabilized in preparation for redevelopment. This area had received a prior site plan review approval. We've just, from an overall project standpoint, we're defining this area. You see this grayish line here, just from an analysis standpoint, if you will, as the project area. We have approximately 216 feet of frontage along Barnstable Road. Surrounding uses are all commercial, retail uses to the property. Existing zoning, highway commercial. We are in the WP and GP overlay districts. The existing total footprints, including the two that have been removed already, was approximately 9,060 square feet. These buildings are currently they're grandfathered, pre-existing, non-conforming to setbacks, not meeting the building setbacks, and there actually were some encroachments that have been removed because this building is now gone, and a portion of this building was removed previously. The entire site is obviously cleared and developed with building and pavement. Access to the site, as I mentioned, this prior curb cut, which has now been closed, which was a significant improvement. And then we have the existing main entrance into what I refer to as the Staples Plaza. That will be the main entrance into the site. There's also a entrance over onto Route 28, which is not shown on the site plan. Utilities into the site include public water, sewer. There's overhead power and communication services, and natural gas services also available on the site. So with that, I will go to the proposed layout. So as I mentioned, we're proposing to raise the two remaining buildings, which are located here. We have two new structures proposed, a mix of retail and restaurant uses. The proposed new footprints in total is approximately 9,066 square feet, so generally the same footprint coverage as the prior four existing buildings. As far as zoning setbacks, we've eliminated the nonconformities for the setbacks. These proposed buildings meet both front setback off of Barnstable Road and side setback behind the buildings. The impervious coverage has been significantly reduced. In the GPWP overlays, as you know, there's a 50% impervious limitation. Again, the site is grandfathered from that based on the non-conforming prior use. And with this project, we are actually reducing the impervious coverage between the removal of buildings, removal of some of the parking for the reconfiguration of the site by about 15,000 square feet. So it's a fairly significant reduction in impervious coverage, which I think is a positive benefit. There's obviously, again, no natural state on the parcel as it relates to groundwater protection overlay. As I mentioned, the access points, this prior long curb cut has been closed, and this existing main entrance remains and will serve the site. We have provided turning template plans showing the Hyannis Tower truck movements as requested at informal site plan. I believe that the fire department found those acceptable, but I will respond to any comments that they may have. For the parking for the project, we're providing within this project area, again, I'm defining it as a project area. We're providing 39 parking spaces within this area, where 36 are required based on the proposed new buildings. Landscape has been enhanced. We'll jump over to the landscaping plan real quick. This is a landscape plan that was prepared by Hawk Design, a licensed landscape architect as required at informal. So this has been submitted. So the existing vegetation along the frontage of Barnstable Road, new augmented landscaping, trees within the island, ground cover, etc. So again, I think a very significant aesthetic improvement from what the prior existing condition was for this location. Parking setbacks are currently non-conforming. They've been improved. We'll remove the parking spaces here. The non-conformity is just this line right along here of these existing spaces. And again, we've actually reduce that non-conformity by removing some of the parking that was there. The parking landscape ratio, again, was a non-conforming aspect. We have provided 10% within the project area. added the parking lot trees and the street trees, as I just discussed. We have one dumpster area enclosed by a fence proposed for the site. Drainage for the site is basically being maintained as it currently exists. There is a significant amount of drainage on the site. We've just kind of reconfigured the site connecting to the existing storm drain system. There's a large infiltration facility here. And again, a reduction of 15,000 square feet of impervious area foot, so actually a reduction in flow. We're going to be providing new water services to the buildings in coordination with Hyannis Water Department. I know Hans and I had prior discussions back several months ago on this. New sewer was installed previously up into the site. That'll be utilized and connection services modified as necessary. Overhead services are proposed to go underground, and then new gas services will be provided as well. We have also filed to FAA the Form 7460 for height aspects, and we have received all approvals from FAA. So with that, I will turn it back over to John. Thank you.
Thank you, Matt. My only other comment is the 4 buildings, call them the existing buildings, 2 that have been already raised and 2 that are proposed to be raised, are on separate lots from the Staples Plaza. And part of our proposal here, as we discussed at informal, is to some of the land is registered and some of the land is unregistered. We have to deregister the registered land and then prepare an 81X plan, which would be a perimeter plan incorporating those separate lots into the Staples Plaza lot. So it would all be all one big lot, and that would eliminate setback variances for the existing lot lines. In other words, the existing lot line for those 4 buildings will actually now run through a couple of each of the 2 proposed new buildings, and those would be zoning violations. When we go for zoning relief, our expectation is we will not have the land deregistered in the 81X plan as of record. So our presumption is, and this is what I'd like a little guidance on, is that that can be made as a condition of the application for the special permits for the 2 uses, the retail and the restaurant use, and not have to request variances for those setback encroachments until we deregister. I'd be happy to answer any questions your panel may have. Thank you. I have no issue. Do you think you can get that done before the zoning board of appeals? Do you think it won't be ready before that? We don't think it'll be deregistered, and we can't do the 81X until we deregister. So the expectation is that it will not be done. If the zoning board's willing to hear it, I'm willing to have a condition on the zoning board of appeals decision that prior to any permitting, that has to be done. But I'll have to defer to them. Very good. All right. Maggie, have we received any correspondence on this matter?
I have correspondence from the building department.
Very good. Thank you.
Separate demo and building permits are required for each building. Construction control documentation for each building. Tenant fit out permits where necessary, and any signage requires permitting as well.
Thank you. And there's a comment in the system from Inspector Stanton with the Health Division. It says a new food service permit will be required. The health inspector covering foods for this area is Mary Beth McKenzie. And then we will continue with planning and development, please.
Good morning, Jim Comfort, Senior Planner, Planning and Development. Retail, as the applicant mentioned, retail sales, food and beverage services require special permit. This is actually special permit from the planning board within the downtown Hyannis zoning. So it would be a special permit for the planning board. I did have a notation that yes, the 81X plan is required unless they're seeking further relief. Sounds like they're not. So 81X, for this purpose, I would say recorded prior to building permit, if that's all right with the commissioner. And certainly that could be a recommendation, or this will be provided to the planning board at time of submission. So they could also further condition that. the applicant has provided that stamped landscape plan from a registered landscape architect. That's excellent. With that, financial security for 150% of the estimated cost of the plant installation for the duration of 3 years after planting has been installed must be provided prior to the issuance of certificate of occupancy in a form acceptable to the town attorney's office. Thank you.
Thank you, Senior Planner Kupfer. Next is engineering, please.
Matt Roble, DPW Engineering. I basically had no comments through both the informal site plan review meetings we had beforehand. I did notice when we were reviewing that there was a water line install happening within the right of way. Just advising the applicant that they'll need to open a road opening permit for any of that utility work installation. It's my only comment at this time.
Thank you, sir. Hyannis Fire.
Good morning, Tim Lamb and Hyannis Fire. In addition to previous comments that were made by Lieutenant Shropshire, again, NFPA 241 plan is going to apply for this project, as well as dumpster permits if they meet the requirements. In regards to the 81X plan, do we have an idea of what the new address for the property is going to be? There may be a need to realign the existing buildings with the new buildings that are proposed just for our purposes. And if we include fire protection on the construction control documents, please, as well. And that is pretty much it for Hyannis Fire's concerns. Thank you.
Thank you. Asset management, please.
Thank you, Brian. Asset management, no comments at this time. Thank you.
Thank you. Licensing.
Thank you, Brian. I'm Erin Logan from licensing. The tenant, Aegean Pizza, currently has a common victular license through our office and would need to amend that given new seat counts and if there's an address change, and any future retail tenants might require a license and should just be directed to contact our office. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Gillis, will you please make sure that the FAA letter that you folks have in your possession is uploaded with your building permit when that finally takes place, okay? All right. Mr. Kenny, any final thoughts?
Mr. Florence, I have one comment.
Yep.
Mr. Kupfer suggested that the 81X plan be required prior to the issuance of building permit. I would suggest the issuance of an occupancy permit. We have some time constraints that we're trying to meet. If we don't get the 81X, we would be at our risk, but I mean, there's nothing to stop us. We can deregister the property and we can do the 81X. So I would ask it be a condition of subject to occupancy permit, not building permit.
Yeah, I had suggested building permit. I'm okay if the planning board's okay. That's what I don't want to do is get in a situation where I've got the property owner angry with us for not issuing a certificate of occupancy, and I'm hoping you guys can get this done way before that.
We'll work on it as quickly as we can, but we can't control the land court, and it takes a while to get through the land court with documents and stuff. I mean, it's all procedural. There's nothing that can stop it. We have a right to deregister. We have a right to do the 81X. So it's more of a timing and procedural situation. And we'd be more angry not getting a building permit.
Yeah, no, I'm going to defer to the planning board on that. I'm okay either way, but planning board will have to make that decision.
Thank you.
You okay with that, Jim?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, very good. Thank you. All right. As this matter is in our new downtown districts, it is available, open to public for public comment. I'm going to ask the same as the last time that if there's anybody from the public that would like to speak, you keep your comments to 2 minutes. And also new information only, please. We don't need repeats. So anybody from the public that would like to speak on this? Going once. Twice. Okay. Seeing none, staff, do you have any reason why this matter cannot move forward to permitting? Seeing none, I'd find the matter as approvable based on the terms and conditions you've heard here today. Thank you for your time, Attorney Kenny.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, all. Have a good day.
Right. Take care, Matt. Take care, Roy. Jack. Thank you, staff, for your time and attention to site plan review. I appreciate everything you do here, and you have a great rest of your day.